Hey, welcome to Greenlight. Today is the third and final video of the Essentials series, and we're talking about what is bitrate, using the examples of the Red Dragon 6K and the BlackMagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. First, let's get into what is bitrate. Resolution and bitrate are different. Higher the bitrate, the better the quality, which is not in resolution. Bitrate affects quality and file size. It really does a lot. So bitrate is basically the amount of data used to encode video or audio every single second. So with that being said, it will take up a lot of file sizes and a lot of memory on your computer. So basically, when it comes to resolution, the higher the resolution / frame rates, you must pump up the bit rate so it's not compressed poorly. So anything with a high bit rate, you must compress it. So either one of these cameras, you must be able to compress it correctly. Most websites' bandwidth, their costs would just end up going really high up if you have like a really big file size with a high bit rate video in there. So basically it does take up a lot from your computer. It takes up a lot on the internet. And even when you put it in YouTube tends to compress all these files, but keep the quality. They're the only ones that tend to do that. Obviously, they're owned by Google, so they have the money to be able to do that. But programs like Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve can compress your videos and be able to use both of these with no problem. Now, trying to use BlackMagic in Premiere Pro is going to take a third-party program, which I believe you have to pay for. I'm not sure of any that are free out there yet, but I haven't looked into it. I'll look into it eventually, hopefully sooner than later, and I will let you know about that when I talk about the BlackMagic. Let's say I do rent it out or something like that. So I do plan on doing that in the future myself. I love the way it looks in comparison to the Red Dragon or any other Red product, but the Red sensor size is way, way bigger. The Red sensor size doesn't have a major... the crop factor isn't all that much. They have a crop factor of 1.25, and I believe BlackMagic has a 1.58 times crop. And that's not even including, Canon lenses and all that the BlackMagic could be able to use. So it all depends on your lenses too as well. But for such a small pocket cinema camera, this is very, very well built and very strong. And as far as like bit rate and the encoding, the coding is very, very good. It shoots in ProRes of 422 as well as BlackMagic's RAW, and all that obviously may need to be coded on a third-party program for Premiere Pro. But when you do buy and purchase the BlackMagic cinema camera, you do obtain a free copy of DaVinci Resolve, where right now that is one of the best color correcting programs out there. So alone, it's one of the best color correcting programs out there for feature films, music videos, anything you may need for it. So for you to understand a little bit more about bitrate, there's a couple things that people talk a lot about: CBR, UBR, and then passes. Just so you know a little bit of what they are, CBR is constant bit rate, UBR is variable bit rate, and passes is increasing number of passes. So where you can change your bit rate is basically in any of these editors. So in video editing programs such as Premiere Pro and or DaVinci Resolve, you can encode your own films and music videos and make sure that the bit rate is at CBR. Constant bit rate is always good. It stays consistent. The variable bit rate, you might want to open that up for specific shots, if anything like that. But variable bit rate is more of for shots with a lot of activity, like trees and stuff like that. If you're getting a lot of like leaves and very fine detail in your 4K and or 6K. Passes is pretty good too. It's the amount of time that your render is basically, it's gonna go through your bit rate and basically render out your project a bunch of times and then give you the best quality. Variable bit rate allows your computer and your render to basically, the computer will start deciding whether or not it needs to have more of a bit rate or not. In certain shots you need it, like I said already, and that's very good to have. But if you use passes, the amount of times that you export your film and render it, actually the number of times that you render your project file, the program starts to know what's the best for each shot. So each shot will have a different bit rate, but basically the number of passes that you do, the computer becomes smarter and understands your footage better and what you have on your footage. So that's very good to have when you want your highest quality uploaded on YouTube and or Vimeo or any other avenue. YouTube encodes for you. As long as you upload your highest quality video, then you're good. When you upload, there's different bit rates that you can look out for. Things like megabits per second and kilobits per second are something that you may have seen a lot on Blu-ray discs and DVDs, but a lot of like 4K, the average bit rate normally, even for like a 1080p type file, is like 8 bit rate is average. Anything lower than that, the quality is gonna deplete. So if you have an 8-bit rate file and you're shooting at 30 frames, if you did the same thing and had an 8-bit file but then had and shot at 60 frames, it's gonna try and compress the 60 frames into the 8-bit, so you're not gonna get the full quality of that 60 frames. You might have to bring up your average bit rate now up to, depending on what, resolution, obviously. And this is all dealing with 1080p, so you probably go up to 10 or 15. It depends on the footage that you shoot and what resolution you shoot at. For 4K, the average is just 20-bit rate, and DVDs are usually 4 to 8 megabytes per second. So, with that being said, yeah, that's definitely going to be in that realm of 480p and stuff like that. Your average bit rate is 8 megabytes per second, and DVDs are usually 4 to 8 megabytes per second. So basically, that's the amount of like the resolution for each pixel that you're seeing, just lossless video like going through on the DVD. But going into Blu-rays for 1080p and high definition, you'll be seeing usually around 24 to 40 megabits per second. But when it comes to resolution, they're not one and the same. You got to kind of balance them out. So that's what, on a Blu-ray, that's what you would find, including the 4K videos. I believe like the 4K movies are the same, because 4Ks, they're like 20 bit rate, and that's what YouTube handles it at. And those file sizes are going to be good quality, especially on YouTube. If you upload them up on YouTube, they're going to be compressed in their own way. So they want you to upload a high file size. It's all up to your computer and how many exports you can do of your video and or film or the renders you're going to do. It all depends on how much space you have on your computer. Thank you for joining me today on the third video of this Essential series. I really appreciate you taking your time checking out these videos, and if you like them, please comment down below. Don't forget to hit the like button and the notification bell. I'm Jovanni Santos and hope to see you here soon. We have more filmmaking videos coming out, as well as Blu-ray released videos every week, and I've got a number of mini Blender tutorials just for you. They're beginner tutorials, so you can learn a new program and or video editing program, because it does a bunch of things all encompassing in one program, and it's free. Adidas as well as Ubisoft, which is a gaming company, has all sponsored that program, and they're self-financing it every month. So every month they're almost hitting their quota of 100 grand a month. So, and they're making great strides. They're at Blender 2.80 right now, but then there's Blender 2.82, which is what they're planning to be their next release. It's at alpha right now, so it's at a point where it's growing fast, and they're working on this day in and day out. So thank you again. Don't forget to hit the like button, and I'll see you here next week.